What if I told you that most debt cases are handled under the jurisdiction that was originally meant for ships, commerce, and contracts at sea? In this video, I'm going to break down the role of maritime and admiralty jurisdiction in debt collection and in civil court, and how understanding the jurisdiction you're in can completely change the strategy that you use. I've studied jurisdictional law, consumer law, and contract theory, and if you're showing up in court as a passenger on their ship, you're already halfway sunk. So remember to watch this video all the way to the end, because we're going to be talking about things that nobody talks about and really breaks down so that one can be able to truly, fully understand how to be able to communicate with debt collectors and win in court. Now, this is not legal advice, even though we're going to be talking about the court, maritime law, things of that nature. This is not lawful advice, and this is not financial advice. Remember to do your due diligence. Remember to tap into the information beyond this YouTube video. Don't go beyond. Don't just trust me. Actually go find the truth for yourself. Okay. Number two, if you're brand new, remember to hit the like button. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Tap in so that you can be able to get this game on a consistent basis. We post Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. each day. Remember to tap into the Discord so that you can get updates on the live streams and also when I post a new video. Okay. Thank you guys once again for tapping into the information. I love you guys. Remember to hit that like button. Now, what we're going to be talking about specifically is what the admiralty and the maritime law jurisdiction and how it applies to debt discharge and how it applies to communicating with debt collectors and actually winning in court. A few things that we're going to talk about is how debt connects with maritime jurisdiction and how to rebut the presumption that you are someone that is lost at sea or somebody that is on the ship and not piloting your own ship. We're going to talk about the laws, the symbols, and even the strategy behind using a maritime law and understanding and understanding it and how to use it when communicating with debt collectors. So let's dive straight into this information. This is going to be one of those quick videos that, really maybe a part one. I'll make a part two, and with part two, I'll just, dive in a little bit deeper, do more of a deep dive. But this is more of a general understanding of admiralty and maritime law. OK, now you can also read the book called Meet Your Straw Man to fully understand it. You can read books like the Redemption Manual. You can read books like the UCC Connection to fully understand it. OK, so let's dive straight in. What is admiralty and maritime jurisdiction? Now, when it comes to admiralty law, that typically governs contracts, commerce, navigation, and maritime activity, okay? And in the U.S., it includes things like commercial disputes, bills of lading, salvage rights, and often debt. So here's some key elements when it comes to admiralty and the maritime law. Number one, there's no trial by jury unless Congress allows it. Everything operates under presumed contracts and summary judgment, and the court assumes you're a debtor unless rebutted, okay? So that means you technically have to rebut all debts. Technically, all debts are alleged unless rebutted, or technically all debts are assumed or presumed unless rebutted. And it just means that there's an offer and acceptance type of vibe when it comes to our debt. Okay, so when we look at Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution, it extends the judicial power of the United States to all classes of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. This provision grants federal courts the authority to hear cases related to activities on navigatable waters, including contracts, torts, and crimes connected to shipping and maritime activities, which is very interesting. It says contracts, torts, crimes, originally was shipping contracts, marine insurance, and agreements related to maritime activities, collisions and injuries and property damages occurring on navigatable waters, and piracy, illegal fishing, and maritime offenses, but is now all transitioned to the actual United States, the actual Constitution and jurisdiction. Then we talk about admiralty and maritime under 28 USC Code 1333. It says that district court shall have original jurisdiction exclusive of the courts of the states of any civil case of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. Any prize brought into the United States and all proceedings for condemnation of the property taken as a prize. So this also pretty much breaks down the fact that district courts are the original jurisdiction of admiralty cases, okay? So when it comes to admiralty, the courts treat you more like cargo and not really as a captain, okay? So that's very interesting when you look at it from, you know, if you're a pirate or, you know, you're being tried or whatever the case may be, you're not even a pirate, okay? They look at you as the collateral that's on the boat, not really the person piloting the boat. And of course, you can shift this narrative through status correction and understanding this even deeper so that you can communicate your position. But let's just talk about how debt ends up in the maritime jurisdiction. Number one, hidden contracts, okay? You're presumed to be a commercial dishonor when you don't pay, okay? And presume is more of a without a rebuttal, okay? Credit cards, loans, mortgages equal commercial paper, which equal negotiable instruments. And in civil court equals contract enforcement under maritime, okay? Typically, when it comes to this, the administrative process is skipped. So what we talk about on this channel heavily is communicating with debt collectors using the administrative process. This gets skipped, and this is how people get in a position of where they cannot, you know, communicate with a debt collector, or they go in and the case is already lost. This is why it's important for you to initiate your case, and you're treated as someone who abandoned their cargo, which is your obligation. Okay. So actually, let me go back. Okay. So it's not that they treat you like cargo, but they treat your obligation like cargo. And when you don't fulfill your obligation, then you've technically abandoned your cargo, and they're determining, you know, who should get it in a sense, which would be the awarding of the case, I would assume. Okay. Now, here are some clues that you know, you are in a situation where it's more under maritime presumptions, when there is no jury, no summary proceedings, all caps name, meaning your legal fiction, which is the vessel, and the judge acts as a captain or administrator and not a neutral arbiter, okay? So if you show up to the court without challenging jurisdiction, they'll pretty much walk right over you. They'll pretty much sail right over you. They'll do all the presumptions. And when people go into court and they're like, well, it seems like they have legal bias, or it seems like they laugh at me when it comes to pro se, it's because they're treating you like a fictitious entity that can't really speak. Okay. So here's how to rebut the presumption. Okay. Number one, you challenge the jurisdiction. You can ask a simple question in court: is this proceeding operating under maritime jurisdiction? Okay. You can demand proof of jurisdiction on the record, and you can require a sworn evidence of subject matter jurisdiction. Simply asking, hey, is this proceeding or operating under maritime? Actually, let's just say you were to do this in writing, okay? You will put in writing, for the record, is this court operating under maritime or admiralty jurisdiction, either by implied contract or public policy or commercial enforcement? Please clarify the nature and cause of the jurisdiction being invoked in this matter pursuant to Article 3, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution and 28 U.S.C. 1333. I reserve all rights under UCC 1-308 and require proof of jurisdiction. Is this proceeding civil, statutory, or admiralty in nature? Okay, that's if you were to write it down in a motion. But then let's just say, because you will be in court, potentially for most people, how to say it verbally: Your Honor, for the record, is this court of admiralty jurisdiction operating under commercial contract or commercial code? Is this statutory administrative proceeding, or is this an Article 3 constitutional court of record? Am I being treated as a vessel under admiralty law, or as a living man or woman with full rights under common law jurisdiction? Okay, let me repeat that. Your Honor, for the record, is this a court of admiralty jurisdiction operating under contract law, commercial code? Or is this a statutory administrative proceeding? Or is it an Article 3 constitutional court of record? And am I being treated as a vessel under admiralty law or as a man or woman that is living and breathing with full rights under common law jurisdiction? Here's some of the responses that you may get. It could be a dismissive or evasive answer like that's irrelevant or this is civil court. What that means is that they are avoiding the question, which may signal that they are operating under administrative or admiralty procedures. Your move is to restate your objection and say, let the record show that the jurisdiction was neither confirmed nor rebutted when lawfully questioned. Hit me. They claim this is a court of general jurisdiction. What that means is that they're keeping it vague and avoiding to admit the nature of the proceeding. It's important for your move to be respectfully. General jurisdiction must be clarified to determine proper due process. I require proof of jurisdiction on the record with specificity. They confirm it's a civil case, but refuse to address the admiralty. What it means is that civil courts often act as a quasi-admiralty court when enforcing commercial paper, contracts, or codes. When it comes to debt cases, your move is to pretty much ask, is this court enforcing a commercial obligation presumed to exist through adhesion or implied contract? Or if this is not an admiralty proceeding, please identify the source of subject matter jurisdiction authorizing commercial enforcements. They may even give you a threat or warning by saying that's sovereign citizen stuff, or I'll hold you in contempt. What this means is that you have hit a nerve. They might be using intimidation to shut you down before the jurisdiction is exposed. Stay calm and say, I'm simply exercising my right to inquire I'm simply exercising my right to inquire into the nature and cause of this jurisdiction, which is fundamental to due process. Okay, let me say that again. I'm simply exercising my right to inquire into the nature and cause of this jurisdiction, which is fundamental to due process. Okay. The legal support that's going to back you up is 28 U.S.C. 1333, Article 3, Section 2, UCC 1-308, and the case law Hale versus Hinkle, 201 U.S. 43, 1906. And it essentially talks about the right to know the nature and cause of any action against you. And that's under the case law. Okay. Here's a bonus tip. Always say for the record. Okay, you want to use this phrase to establish that your inquiry is on the court transcript, even if it's ignored. Okay, and what I'll put in my school community is an actual script and an affidavit, particularly for this situation. So I'll get that drawn up and input it in the school community within the next day or two. Okay, it's important to know how to communicate because it's not that you're going to be it's not that it's really about every situation being on how the language that you use in the courtroom or with the debt collector is simply the language that can, separate you and your status from your straw man or even from a disadvantageous position. Okay. So that's step one, really challenging the jurisdiction. And yes, that's a little bit long-winded. Step two, if you have the capacity, correct your status, declare yourself as a living man or woman, not a vessel of the United States. Okay. Whether you're in court, whether you have done the full status correction process, or whether you have communicated it through your affidavits. Okay. You must declare yourself as a living man and woman, affidavit of truth, or public record. Use an affidavit of status or foreign sovereign documents if needed. Use the administrative remedy first. Before you go to court, if possible, send a notice, affidavit, conditional acceptance, take them through the default process if they do not comply. And essentially, you don't need to fight the claim. You can challenge the court's authority to hear it and the ship loses its anchor. So it's not, you can then, let's just say somebody has a claim against you. Once you're challenging the court that is mediating the claim, it kind of breaks down the whole entire system. Okay. So it's a way of you challenging the contract, is now you're challenging who is mediating the claim. All right. So here's some laws, symbols, and strategies that, you may need when it comes to maritime and admiralty. Now, this is also, we're coming to a close on this video, but this is part 1 of this video. I'll bring a part 2 to bring a little bit more clarity and understanding, and also in a more clear way. This is something I'm still like having a full study session about. I just seen some during my findings that I wanted to talk about, okay? So you want to look for things like a gold fringe flag. Let me show you that. Here's what a gold fringe flag looks like, okay? As you can see, it has the gold around it, okay? This typically is an indication that we're walking into something that is military or admiralty, okay? Court rules that bypass the due process, that's how you know it's admiralty. And judges who don't acknowledge the Constitution, that's also admiralty, okay? Here's the leverage that you want to use against it. You want to use things like UCC 1-308, which is reserving your rights without prejudice. You want to use things like UCC 3-603 when you're challenging your tender of payment. If there was a refusal, there is discharge. You want to use things like 18 USC 912, which talks about the aspect of impersonating a public official if a judge lacks lawful jurisdiction. And essentially, they rely on you being silent as consent. And jurisdiction typically is the first place that you should start, or the first battleground. Because if you can challenge the jurisdiction and get them to prove that they lack lawful jurisdiction, then the case pretty much gets dismissed. It really lacks merit, okay? Now, if they are able to prove their jurisdiction, then boom, that's even better, because if their jurisdiction is not admiralty and it's more on the side of, you know, of a jurisdiction that fits you, okay, then they won't treat you like cargo. You probably have less legal bias and things of that nature, all right? So when you start to question these things, what happens is they treat you differently. And that's one of the keys behind admiralty and maritime law. There's so many concepts and so many angles that we can kind of go when we're talking about admiralty and maritime law, how it connects with the military, how it connects with courts, and how it connects with even bigger cases, how courts are really a bank and they make money off of every single case that kind of comes in and out of there. You know, it's their job to keep people in jail so that they can make more money. You know, these are the things that, you know, can go hand in hand, that is outside of just debt alone, okay? And this can also help one person when it comes to a criminal case, understanding some of these aspects when it comes to admiralty and maritime law, okay? Again, this is part 1, so we got all the way to the end. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to learn more about this, down below is my school community that you can tap in for less than $1 a day. You're going to be able to learn how to fix your credit, get funding, and also at the same time discharge your debt through the complete debt guide. Number 2, if you want to tap in with me one-on-one, not specifically about debt discharge, but specifically about being mentored, whether to fix your credit, get funding, or start your own online credit repair business, tap in with my one-on-one mentorship. Number 3, if you want to stay connected with me, tap in with my Instagram at biz.nick, tap in with my YouTube, tap in with my Twitch at biz_nick. Remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so that you can get an update every time I post a video. And if you've gotten all the way to the end, comment the word discharge, and I'll see you in the next one.